are going to do some oil pastels today. So you will need lots of materials from your bins. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to do is to take out a piece of paper from our mixed media pad. This is heavier paper. Since it's called mixed media, it means that you can paint on it, you can ink on it, you can do lots of things. It doesn't matter if you use the front or the back, but just to make it a little bit easier for us, we're going to tape it down. Now you'll want to, if possible, try to look through your tape so that you can line it up parallel to your paper and have it cover about half of your paper, and then half of it will be on the table. You can tape it just directly to the table, and it'll just keep us from having to clean up along the outside of our paper, and it also gives us a nice framed feel on our paper. The other thing too is that it keeps it taped down so that the paper doesn't move around on us. Now the first thing that we're going to do is to make a beautiful sunset over the lake. You'll be using your oil pastels. Even though these look like they're made for kids, they're actually really good quality. Craypaw is a fabulous company, and it has all of these colors in it. So it's really exciting and fun and easy to blend colors. Now we're going to start at the top and work our way down. We're starting with, the only thing that I don't like about these is that Craypaw doesn't have them listed as specific colors, but just do the best that you can to follow along and figure out which color I'm using. And if you're close, it's fine. This is probably close to a cobalt color. We're going to start at the top. Cobalt would be considered our primary blue, so it's a little bit bright. And we're just going to color, basically, our way from the top down, just about, I don't know, like half a finger length maybe. If yours comes down a little bit more than that, totally fine. Then I'm going to be picking up this light blue. It's kind of like a light sky blue. I wonder if I can turn this way. Have you still be able to see? Since I'm on a sloping table in my home studio, then it means that every time that I take a color out of my oil pastels, then all of the colors roll, which is potential problems. So now I'm shading and I'm overlapping. I'm taking some of that light blue into about an inch of the cobalt blue, and then I'm going to be shading down a little bit more. Okay. Now I'm actually going to pick up, it looks almost like kind of like a skin color, and I'm going to kind of think in terms of clouds. I'm going to introduce this up here. I'm not going to do a solid inch or half inch. I'm going to kind of like bring it so that it comes across a little bit, maybe up into my blue a little bit, maybe up. It's kind of making this abstract coloration in the sky. I'm going to put that back down. Don't know exactly where that came from. And I'm going to pick up my yellow. There's two yellows, one that's maybe more lemony, and this one is more like a canary yellow, and the canary yellow is the one that I'm going to be using. I'm going to fill in some of those areas that I left open from that beigey color. And Then I'm going to take this yellow all the way across, just starting to kind of get into a yummy sunset. And start to make kind of this open shape here. I'm starting to think about the sun and how it might change colors. Put my sun right here. So this yellow circle is going to be a sun, and it's about 1/3 of the way up from the bottom, and I'm going to make a little yellow area above that. Now, because sunsets are just so unique and different, by the way, the next one that I'm going to grab is kind of this rosy color. Again, if your colors are a little bit different from mine, totally fine, because sunsets are the kinds of things that you know, they just they look different from minute to minute. Now, this circle is actually the reflection of my sun, which is going to be right here. For those of you that want to know, I'm actually looking at a photograph and trying to kind of see if I can reproduce some of those shapes and colors. So this is kind of a reference image for me. I'm going to come across. And this is above this line is going to be sky, and below this line is going to be water. It can be our lake, Lake Norman, because I've seen blue herons on our lake, or it could be an ocean, whatever it means to you. And I'm going to come in here and start bringing in some of my rosy red. Do the same on this side. And I'm kind of like letting this bleed in just a little bit to my canary color. Like so. And then I'm going to see if I have a really dark red. I have a very bright red. That might work. And then I have this kind of brownish color. I think the bright red is what I want. And I'm going to bring that in. I'm not covering up everything. I'm just kind of like accentuating. So, okay, so now I have basically from the horizon line up done. And I'm going to take some tissue paper and you don't need the entire paper. So you can just fold it multiple times and it'll make just kind of like a little pad, like so, and then you can use it to blend. You can also use your finger. So you can make little circles, or if you're going to make long linear movements, then you definitely want to go in the direction of your sunset, which in our case is horizontal. You don't want to go some movements upright and some down. You want to try to be consistent. And then as I get down in from my cool colors into my warm colors, then I'm going to either want to switch to a different part of my tissue paper, or maybe pick up a new piece of tissue paper is another option. And you might notice that I'm kind of blending my beige and my yellow together, and then I'll come back and see, I don't want to lose my yellow just by going across, so I actually might use my finger now and kind of focus on my yellow, blend my yellow first. Whatever is the lightest color is smart to blend first, and then you can blend into your darker colors. Remember that whenever you're blending, if you like to blend with your fingers, then that's fine, you sure can. But once you have color on your finger, then it is going to be dragged into wherever you start to blend. So if you don't want to lose that yellow, then you might have to use a different finger. That yellow is kind of our sun, so we definitely don't want to lose that. And then it's up to you. You can just kind of clean that up. I might want to bring in a little bit more color on the edge. So I'm going to bring in just a little bit more red. And I think I'll pick a very dark blue also. This is one of my darkest blues. And bring in some sense of kind of how the sky starts to darken around the outside, almost like a vignette if you're familiar with like the different settings on your phone. So like I said, yours is possibly going to look different from mine. That's totally okay. Make sure that you have a clean finger to blend in the red. And blend in the red on this side too. Trying to not make it too stripy. Just kind of like a sunset. Again, this is the photo that I'm looking at, and you can see this is significantly more yellow in here, so I might come back and see if I can build up some of that yellow again. It's really easy to go darker. It's hard to go lighter. So let's see, I might even get some white and see if I can lighten this a little bit, but I think it just wants to be what it is, so that's fine. We'll just let it be as it is. Okay. Now I'm going to focus on the water area, and the water is really kind of a reflection of the sky, only a little bit lighter. So again, I'm going to take my yellow, which is what I have going on here, but I'm going to go ahead and, I might actually switch to the lemon yellow and build up some yellow going across. And got some nice pink. This is actually very much a pink. Come in from the sides. And the thing with water is this kind of ripple effect is very exaggerated. And go to do I have a light purpley color? I do have a bit of a purpley color. It's nice. And maybe even an orangey color. You can just do all kinds of interesting things. And where's that beige? Okay. All right, so the secret to water is that it's more compressed and that it's more horizontal. And I think I'm going to blend with my finger in this case just so that I have some more control. Okay. I think I want to strengthen this horizon line a little bit. So I'm going to get my darkest blue. Make sure it's the blue and not the black. I'm going to come in here and not take it all the way across, but part of the way. Just really strengthening that so that it's clear where the sky ends and the water begins. And maybe do a little bit similar to that. Again, getting a darker blue and starting to define the water that's closer to us by putting a little bit of this blue in. Again, try and make it feel natural so it's not like stripes. Oh, that's starting to bounce a little bit, isn't it? Oh, I love that. Okay, and then as we get to the edge, the water's edge here, then we're going to go ahead and take, let's see, again, one of the darker blues. Doesn't have colors, but just, oops, that's a little bit too, I don't know, strong maybe, too greenish. I'm not loving that, so I'm gonna try this other blue. So there's different blues, like this one has a little bit of green in it, and then this one has a little bit of red in it. It's a tiny bit more purpley, and this is a tiny bit more like, I don't know, less purpley. So we're gonna go ahead and, again, you can kind of like find your own way. With what you feel like looks best to you. And I'm gonna take my darkest blue. Oh, is that blue or black? That might be black. I didn't want that. It's okay. I'm just gonna have a little bit of black in there. It's okay. And I actually don't mind it. Okay, maybe we need to have something other color in there. So maybe just a little bit of purple. Again, this is trying to be kind of like the sand area, so it's not reflecting, so it's very dark because the light's going down. But there might be a little bit of reflection here. Okay. So we're going to blend this together. See how it turns out. Again, just kind of keep remembering what color you have on your skin is going to follow you. Oh, that's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love that. Okay, so now we're going to put in our blue heron, and we're going to use a 6B pencil. You might take a minute to sharpen your pencil. I have a sharpener. A minute. And you just want to make sure that any blending that you want to do is completely done, because once you start to put your blue heron in, then you won't want to smudge in. So you want to make sure all that blending is just the way that you want it. The wonderful thing about oil pastels is that they're different from crayons in that they are oil-based, and so they have this wonderful texture and feel to them. And then my rickety desk. Okay, I think I'm ready. So I'm going to put my bird here, and he's in the forefront, so he's really large in comparison to the sunset in the background. And I'm going to just start by making his head, and it's going to be an oval and a long beak, and then his neck is going to come out, and kind of this shape like this. And he's got this really long S-shaped neck. And then his body is kind of this large oval. Goes down like this. And his tail goes down like so. And his legs. And he is sitting on some type of wood. You can kind of see sitting on some type of wood piece. So you can just make these kind of like odd shapes. This is all going to be in silhouette, so it's okay if yours is a little bit different from mine. But we are going to color him in, and I'm going to use, you can see I have a black and I have a blue. I'm going to use my blue. I'm going to take my black out first. I want to see which how it turns out best. And just so that your hand doesn't get all oil pastel-y, you might take a little bit of tissue paper, or a regular piece of paper from your sketchbook works really well too. And just put your hand on it. Put your hand between your artwork and your hand. And then you can use, kind of decide if I like the blue or if I like the black. I think what I might do is do the blue closest to the profile, and then maybe the black on the inside of that, just so that he looks like he glows a little bit. I'm gonna try that and see what we think. And blue herons have this kind of like these feathers that kind of extend to the outside, the back of their heads. Sometimes I say strange things when I am trying to talk and paint at the same time. It's always a little bit challenging to use the right side of my brain and the left side of my the same time. So go nice and slow, especially when you're getting to those curves. And he has kind of like knobby knees. So now I'm going to fill it in with my jet black. So the idea is that maybe he kind of has this blue aura around him. And some of that red is coming through, and I totally don't mind that. Now I'm alternating directions with my strokes a little bit so that if you see any texture, maybe it looks like feathers. Or if you'd like, then you can also make circular lines. But the idea is with a silhouette, you don't really see details. Like you don't necessarily see eyes, you don't necessarily see, because of the position of the sun being behind our heron, and all we can really see is his silhouette or the outside shape of him. Okay, looking good. Now we're just going to go ahead and take the same approach, outlining our branch that he's standing on in blue, and then coloring it in with the black. We just need to decide how his feet come down. I think maybe this branch needs to extend up. This is kind of like driftwood. So it just, so that he's actually standing on something, and his feet are kind of just disappear because maybe he's actually standing on the other side of the driftwood. There's just all kinds of things that we don't necessarily see. Like details, like how his feet connect to the driftwood, and that's okay. Try to give this driftwood some shape and really get it nice and dark. There we go. And maybe there's something else over here. Maybe it's more driftwood. Maybe it's a little bit of something from the ocean. Maybe put a little bit of green in it. Let's see if we have a dark green. We do, we have a dark green. So maybe just a little hint of that is enough. And then go over that with black. So maybe it's like a little bush that connects to our foreground. So we have talked about space and how artists create the illusion of space. And one of the things that artists do is that they create a strong foreground, midground, and background. And that's what we've done with this scene. Our beautiful blue heron is in the foreground. That means closest to the viewer. and our driftwood is also in the foreground, and then this little bushy type thing is also in the foreground. The middle ground is the water, maybe the edge of the water if it looks like this is sand, and then in the distance is the sun, and that is our background. So keep these things in mind when you are creating your own artwork, that if you have objects that helped to define the foreground, midground, and background, then you are creating a sense of space, one of the 7 elements of art. All right, there it is. Let's go ahead and take off our tape. I just love that feeling of a nice clean border. Beautiful. Okay, we want to sign it. You can sign it with pencil or with your colored pencil. I think I'll do it with my black colored pencil. And you can sign either directly on your artwork, or you can sign down in the border. I'm going to sign down the border. Thanks, guys. Well done.